Aloha, I'm Brickwood Galuteria. Welcome to Kupuna Power, a show for and about seniors. As always, we display the senior helpline phone number, 768-7700. Today, we address senior financial scams. And what do all these scams have in common? Banks. Yes, banks. Scam artists persuade the kupuna to go to their banks, to cash checks, to purchase money orders, or to wire money. All this to rob kupuna of their hard-earned cash. And no one is more aware of this than the banks themselves. This is why the Hawaii Bankers Association has launched an elder abuse public awareness campaign. This proactive campaign will educate our seniors and the entire community about the financial scams and crimes that threaten them daily. To talk to us about efforts of the Hawaii Bankers Association to protect our kupuna is Executive Director Ed Pei. Aloha, Ed.
Hello, Brickwood.
Welcome to Kupuna Power. Thank you for joining us here today. Now, we'd like to share with our viewers why are the banks getting so involved now on kupuna fraud, kupuna scams?
Well, it started last year at the legislature. There was a bill to really enhance the reporting capabilities of the banks to alert the various agencies about possible financial exploitation of the elderly. So as we began to dug into this, we saw a real need, and frankly, banks have for quite some time been trying to educate our customers about the dangers of financial abuse. And as we started to dig into this, we found that there are many, many agencies and organizations throughout the state that are doing likewise. But separately, they don't have quite the impact as if we were trying to do it together.
Oh, yeah.
So we tried to form we successfully formed a coalition of all of these agencies so that we could work together towards educating our kupuna and the general community.
Well, give us a sense of who's in the canoe, the kupuna canoe, let's call it that.
Certainly the State Executive Office of Aging, Adult Protective Services, the City Elderly Affairs Division, AARP, Better Business Bureau, Honolulu Police Department, City Prosecutor's Office, a lot of these agencies that some of them deal directly, provide services for our elderly, others that are administratively trying to help our elderly.
You know, when we started Kupuna Power, we did our research and we found that a lot of people are doing great work. The resources are there, and we want to make our kupuna, we want to advise them that, they can call a number, they can get here, they can get there. And so to understand and to know that you're trying to bring the silos down to connect the dots, that is one of the main keys why we're here at Kupuna Power.
Yes. We are embarking upon a campaign with our coalition partners to really begin the educational effort, sustaining educational effort. And what we intend to do is to start with some paid advertising.
Okay.
We also want to solicit input and help from the media stations in Hawaii, print, radio, and TV. And then the thrust of our effort is really an outreach. There will be some programs, seminars, workshops that we will make available to any community groups, and it'll be staffed by volunteers, age-appropriate volunteers, who can speak to their fellow kupuna about some of the issues with financial abuse and scams.
I know that you've been working closely with the Better Business Bureau.
Yes. As we plan our campaign, we realize that there needs to be one focal point to which we can send people to get their questions answered and their concerns issued. So the Better Business Bureau has generously stepped up to say, okay, we'll take all the calls. Send all the calls to us. We'll help however we can. And if we can't help, we'll certainly refer them to an appropriate agency that can assist them. So the Better Business Bureau has been working with us closely and we're close to being ready to launch this effort.
We always look at two sides of the Kupuna scam problem. One is prevention, and then of course, if the Kupuna is involved deeply, there's the intervention part.
Right.
So the proposed campaign that you folks will be talking, will be executing, will that be a prevention campaign?
It's primarily prevention, yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to ask our Kupuna to, well, ask questions?
We want them to think before they act, basically, to really question whether this campaign is for real, whether the solicitation or offer presented to them is for real. And if they have any doubts, they need to consult with proper authorities. In this case, the Better Business Bureau is, again, willing to stand up and help. You
know, what Kupuna Power has found out is that there's so many different levels of scams these days. You know, coming from offshore, coming from the national perspective, and then, you know, right here at home. Is it true that sometimes Kupuna are actually taken to the bank and, you know, by these people, whoever they are?
Yeah, unfortunately, 80% of the victims of financial fraud and scams are seniors, people over the age of 60. And there's a lot of reasons why they're targeted. They have more money, they're more trusting, they have a harder time saying no to people. So they're targeted, unfortunately. And some of them try to create a relationship with the Kupuna, where the Kupuna places a certain amount of trust in them. And yes, literally, they're taking the caregivers or these agents are actually taking the Kupuna to the bank to help them withdraw money.
Physically taking them to the bank.
Physically taking them to the bank.
Boy, if anybody would know that firsthand, would be your tellers at the bank.
Absolutely, and most of all the tellers statewide in the banking system have been trained to be alert for suspicious activity and to help our customers really understand what they are doing and the impact of their efforts.
I think some of the, most Kupuna know their tellers well, right? And the tellers know their Kupuna well. So if something is odd,
yes,
I would assume they are empowered to act?
They will certainly probe. After all, it is their money, so they're free to do whatever they want. But if there is unusual activity, suddenly want to withdraw a large amount of cash, the tellers will question it and hopefully create enough doubt in the minds of the Kupuna to make sure that they're doing the right thing.
We appreciate you being with us here today because it, again, spells cooperation among the financial community, and hopefully we'll be able to bring the silos down for every industry and get you in touch with your colleagues in some of the other areas, utilities and such, and maybe we'll sit down and talk one day on a bigger table and see how we can help our Kupuna even further.
We would look forward to that opportunity.
I'm also looking forward to your campaign because that sounds like a really interesting one.
Yes.
So I want to thank you very much for being a part of our Kupuna Power today. Anything else you'd like to add before we say aloha?
Well, no, it's if you think something is too good to be true, it likely is. So everybody, not just the seniors, but everybody needs to be careful because the fraudsters out there are getting more and more clever by the day. And so we need all to be vigilant for ourselves and for our loved ones.
So if I'm told that I won $5 million yesterday, but before I get it, I got to send away 500.
Yes.
It's probably not true.
It's definitely not true.
Ed, thank you so much for joining us here
Thank you. Good
today.
to see you again.
Good to see you too. Well, there you have it. We're going to be back with more from Kupuna Power. Mahalo nui loa to Mr. Ed Pei. Mahalo to the financial community for stepping up. We'll be back. Up next, Kupuna Power features another of the Honpa Hongwanji's 2014 Living Treasures of Hawaii. But first, what is the largest sheltered body of water in the main Hawaiian Islands?
the Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii is proud to present the 2014 Living Treasures of Hawaii. Dr. Samuel Ohugan has an expansive philosophy that he sums up in one condensed idea. He sees Hawaii as a vast collection of unique ecological systems.
Sense of place is really important in Hawaiian thought, and the living things of the place are just as important as the built structures in determining what that place is all about. It's the people of the place, what happens at that place, what living things are at that place, what the rains and winds do at that place, different times of year and the like. All of that defines place. So when you're talking about conservation of a place, you're talking about all of those things across the whole course of the year, how the environment impinges on it, and the people and the living things of that place are all going to play a role. So that kind of integrated view of the world is a very Hawaiian way of looking at the world. And I think it's similar with indigenous peoples everywhere. So whenever I'm walking along a trail like this and I see a particular fern popping up, I'll be thinking, kilau bracken fern, emerging above uluhe. And kilau is the kino of the pueo, and the pueo is the kino of the aumakua of my kumu, John Lake. And so all of those thoughts are just flashing through as you do that kind of thing. You have to examine every kino of every presence that's up there in order to determine the actual health of the place. So that kind of thing is just joyful to participate in. And when you teach it to others, and when you offer that viewpoint, it seems a little strange to people at first, but it's the kind of intimacy that allows you to say, oh, here's kolea, and this kolea is one of the favorite hosts of the Hawaiian happy face spider. And they would like a leaf just like this, and you turn over the leaf and there's a happy face spider under the leaf, right? And the jaws drop, and from then on you're considered a demigod, right? Because you called it. It's almost as if that spider didn't exist under that leaf until you mentioned it. And then turn over the leaf. And maybe it was just dumb luck, but it's also a product of having been out there and taken the time to just pay the attention. And what do you pay attention to? You pay attention to stuff that you love.
Dr. Gunn explains why being out of the ordinary can be a very good thing.
I was always considered a bit of a nerd, and like when you get a letter in math, you're not your typical student. So in Hawaiian terms, that's an e'epa. E'epa is either strange looking or strange acting person. And in some people's view, if you run into an e'epa, you go, oh man, my day is shot, right? Because that's going to kind of determine the nature of your whole day. On the other hand, the e'epa were famous for healing. Largely because, and I think it's because being not quite normal themselves, they were good at detecting that in others and in helping them deal with that. And so in Waolani, which is the little side valley in Uanu, the very stream that I used to play in, was famous for its e'epa. They had healing heiau in that valley, and I didn't make that connection until much later. Right now, I'm the kokumu in a halau. I teach the oli in that halau, and my kokumu, my Healani Wang, teaches the hula in that halau. And we laugh among ourselves and says, this halau attracts e'efa, And chant especially, I think, because Hawaiian chant is not a typical thing, right? It's not like singing, it's a different set of vocal characteristics. And the ideas that come through in Hawaiian chant, especially the ancient chants, are sometimes quite mystifying. You don't know what to make of it. You do the literal translation and it does not make literal sense. And you have to think about the kauna of the things and the strange side meanings and connotations of words. And so it helps to have an unusual outlook on life, to take oli, I think. I think other Oli practitioners would agree.
Dr. Gunn warmly embraces the distinctive culture, traditions, and landscapes of Hawaii.
Please welcome Dr. Samuel Gunn.
Designation of Living Treasure of Hawaii to Dr. Samuel Gong III.
Rai luna ke alo la ni huli kamaka ni ho hula ka velu itapalia hi kolo yu ka mai leo na pu mai na pu lu he wa ka o hi a ha ali polipo kana hele mau ka o la ni ha ani polipo ke ka wa hama ukele o ke ka hoa mai no kama aloha aloha mai kako. I'm so honored to be here today, to join the ranks of so many that have inspired me and provided the foundation upon which I've built my career and my life aspirations. And if what I have to share has any merit at all, it's because of the examples of others, the continual encouragement of my parents and my family, my teachers, mentors, and friends, to share the wonders of this very special place, wonders we sometimes take for granted or even overlook entirely. The smile of a happy-faced spider under a pu'ahanui leaf in the koa forest of Waikamoi, the mutters and squawks of a Hawaiian crow in the lama forests of Manuka, the ice-cold flow of the spring feeding Lake Waiau at the summit of Mauna Kea. To know these wonders and to see and hear and feel them firsthand is a joy and a privilege, and through great luck and an endless desire to learn, I've enjoyed them from end to end of this archipelago. Too many such phenomena to list. It's a Hawaiian naturalist's dream to spend a lifetime here and to report on my findings. And then to have the amazing good fortune to sit with different kumu, past living treasures among them, to learn the traditional ways, to celebrate and recall such wonders in the chant and the dance forms. Ooh, I'm gonna get a hold of yourself. The chant and the dance forms of this place, this land, the place of my birth. It's provided such joy in my life, and a joy I eagerly share. So mahalo for that chance to give back to the place and the people I love. I'm honored and humbled and forever grateful.
What is the largest sheltered body of water in the main Hawaiian Islands? The answer is Kaneohe Bay. Up next, Kupuna Power attended a recent retirement security workshop to learn more about scams threatening seniors' retirement. But first, which of the following is true of Iolani Palace? It had electricity before the White House. It had electricity before Windsor Palace. It had electricity before the Imperial Palace of Japan. It was the first palace in the world to install flush toilets.
So I just wanted to provide you with some of the information about what we see is how these things usually are introduced, how the scheme comes out to you, and then sort of how they typically close the deal with those schemes. It's shocking that what common elements you see come up over and over again. Most of the time, these people were not looking for a particular opportunity. The opportunity just came out of the blue to them. You get an email one day. You weren't expecting an email at all from this company. You weren't interested in foreign currency trading or investing in some foreign currency deal or some precious metals. You just got a call. Some friend of yours said, hey, you should get in on this. I heard about it. Or you get an email or a call, like I said. Those kind of things just out of the blue are often things you really need to pay a lot of attention to. Why would this great investment opportunity just suddenly come out of the blue to you when the person who's running it could just take that themselves and make that much more money? So that out of the blue aspect of something is really, you're not looking for information on it. It comes to you. That's really a case where you need to say, I need to investigate this. I really need to be cautious about this. Another thing that they almost invariably are promised is that this money is guaranteed. You will not lose your investment. They will create words and phrases to make it sound like it's very legitimate. I mean, these quotes were actually taken from some of the cases we've investigated. And these fraudsters have scripts so that when you're on the phone with them, they know what to say. They're trained. They're trained professional fraudsters. And these scripts are amazing. They're so interesting to get. Some of the things they'll say in it is like, oh, the investments are guaranteed. It's absolutely no danger of losing money. If you invest with me, it's insured to go up. So they'll throw out any kind of term. Those kind of phrases, when it comes to investments, are probably the biggest thing you need to throw up a red flag and think about. And the third thing is that these returns are really good returns. They're a little bit higher than you would get anywhere else. So they're not crazy returns. It's not like they're promising to take $1,000 and then turn it to $100,000. But they'll do something like promise they'll take $1,000 and they can turn it into $6,000, $10,000 over a year. And to someone that may sound legitimate enough that they'll fall for it. The other thing is just sort of numbers that are almost this is too good to be true. It's something that just is really good. And we call it easy money, where they'll say things like triple the returns you can get anywhere else. Nowhere else can you get the kind of deal I'm promising you. And they'll give you numbers, and they're not going to be too crazy. They're not going to say, like, I can turn that $1,000 into $100,000. They're going to say, I can turn that 1,000 into 6,000, which sounds really good to you, but it's not crazy. If it's too crazy, you're going to know. It's not surprising to me that people get caught up in the fact that something great may have happened to them. We all want to believe that fortune's just around the corner, and sometimes it is. Some people do win the lottery, and I think there's that sense of, oh, it finally happened to me. I got this opportunity. So those are kind of the things of how the deal comes to you. They open the sort of, here's how they get your attention. Great money. There's no chance of losing it. It's just, all of a sudden you're lucky to get this. Then they've got to close the deal, right? They're salesmen. They're trying to get this, get you to invest in something. What does surprise me is how good these fraudsters are. This is their job. This is something that they're so good at because they're probably a lot of times not good at anything else. But they're really good at being ruthless, at lying, at having absolutely no morals, and saying whatever they need to do. They are smart. These people are ruthless and they are smart. They know how to work with you. They know, okay, what does she need? What do I need to do with her to get her to do this? I need to work with you. How do I get you in this? Okay, you want sympathy. You want to feel like you know me. You want to know that I'm credible. You might want to know that I'm something else. So these are some of the tactics that we see and how they deploy them to get you to close the deal. That they will say to people, I've given you more than enough information to make this decision. They're starting to put pressure on you. They'll do a little bit of a trade-off maybe. Maybe they realize, okay, they're not biting yet. I'm having to really push this victim to get them to do it. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a 10% discount on my commission. Now, granted, you have no idea that I'm a fraudster and that the commission is all fake anyway, but they just promise you 10% off of nothing. They will say and fake anything to seem credible. If you're the kind of person that wants to see degrees on the wall, they'll run down to the FedEx office, print up a fake diploma, put it behind some glass, put it up on the wall. If you're the kind of person that wants to see a bunch of letters after a name, yeah, I can put up a business card and write letters after my name. If you're the kind of person that thinks, I need somebody who really knows this industry, they've been in this a long time. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've worked with people just like you for 20 years. They will fake credibility to no end. They'll also kind of deploy this tactic that we call follow the crowd. It's sort of this idea that they'll start talking to you about how people like you have done this. Let's say that they realize, oh, this person is a war veteran. They'll say, well, I've been working with war veterans for 20 years, and this people at this place are doing, this event. They're all in on it, just like you. They're all smart investors, just like you. They're all in on it. And that's like kind of building that sense that I want to do what seems like all the responsible, smart investors like me are doing. They'll talk about some special inside information that only they have. And we see this a lot in our commodities futures trading because the price of something can really be impacted by the news. A big hurricane blows through the Gulf of Mexico, knocks out a bunch of oil rigs, price of oil is going to go up. Well, these fraudsters try to make you think that they know that and nobody else knew it. If they know about it and you know about it, all the really brilliant people on Wall Street know about it too. Another pressure tactic that they'll use is certainly limited offer. They'll make it sound like not only do you have to hurry, it's only 2 days, but there's only 2 units left. So if you don't do it right now, you're going to probably be losing out. They don't want you to quite understand what they're doing. Because if the more you really understand it, the more you're going to have the ability to question and know that this doesn't sound right. And they'll want you to they don't want you to think that they're not smarter, so they'll really want to dumb you down a bit. They want to make you confused. This was my favorite quote, actually, from all those cases I went through, I'm sorry, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand this. So I'm just kind of summarizing here the way the red flags, or sort of the way they introduce these frauds. And these are really the 3 things to watch out for. It comes out of the blue. They promise you there's no way you can lose. And they make it really great. Easy money. It's not crazy money, but it's easy. Fraudsters do not like you to ask questions. The more questions you ask, they know the more likely it is that the fraud is going to pop open. And I have just sort of in my years of experience doing this, that I think these questions can really start opening them up. If you just ask these, really 5 simple questions. It's just, how are you qualified to do this? What's your background? How are you qualified to do this for me? How are you licensed? Any financial professional out there that is selling you something you're working with, they need to have a license, or the company they work for needs to be licensed. Have you ever been in trouble? Have you ever had any problems that a state board of something has had to do? Ask these questions here, and then the kicker, we put the asterisk next to it, ask them to tell you how you can independently verify it outside of them. Ask them for what third party can I go to? We're not asking you to be a financial planner and have all these insights and become a lawyer. We're just saying make a phone call. Reporting fraud helps to prevent it going on, and certainly to anyone else that fraudster might attack. But in a much larger sense, it helps us to be much better about stopping fraud. For anyone that has any questions about investment fraud, I would say check with some agency, federal agency, state agency. Ours is www.cftc.gov. You can check there, check out the consumer protection area on our website and find more information.
Which of the following is true of Iolani Palace? It had electricity before the White House. It had electricity before Windsor Palace. It had electricity before the Imperial Palace of Japan. It was the first palace in the world to install flush toilets. The answer is all of the above. There you have it. I'm Brickwood Galuteria. Join me next week for another episode of Kupuna Power. Aloha.